Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, today we're talking about Titan energy and pets, and not both of them together, but separately as well. And Denise has her finger on the pulse of something that I've been navigating, and it's been challenging and exciting simultaneously in the adjustment. And as I speak in communities, we have different shows, and I guide other people, and I'm being guided in different ways. It keeps coming up with a curiosity of what's happening in the field, what's emerging, what are we releasing, what are we receiving? And when Denise told me that she was tapping into this Titan energy and how she described it in her interpretation, it's helping me land a beautiful awareness um, that's allowing me to move forward with it in a way that's really empowering. Um, and also compassionate and exciting as well. So it's going to be an amazing call today. We're going to get into this Titan energy. We're going to talk about pets. We're going to talk about abilities that are attributed to the gods of ancient mythology, and they're not just tall tales. It's something that is awakening on a multi-dimensional level through us. And again, Denise has her finger on the pulse. So we're going to dive into the conversation. We'll open up to Q&A a little bit later on the call. And with that, Denise, welcome back to BTO, your family. I call it, you've been here. It's like you feel like part of the foundational family.
Well, thank you so much. It's always so fun to be here, and it's always such an expansive and open audience.
Hmm.
And this is perfect. This is why, for this audience, such deep information always comes through. Every time I have an appearance with you, it's a love-hate relationship because I'm like, oh no, something huge is going to download. I have to do something brand new. But it's always exciting and of the moment.
Hmm.
And so, one thing that I always like to do is before any appearance, I go and I walk on the beach a little bit. That's kind of my good thinking place where I meditate. And so this morning was no different. And so I was, walking along the beach thinking about this topic of Titan energy and our pets. And I was thinking about some of the different Titan energy that we're going to be talking about, one being Apollo. And, we'll get into a little later, but part of what Apollo does is he helps us kind of revisit our sacred contracts.
Hmm.
And so I was thinking about that. And I was thinking, are there any contracts that I'm looking to kind of switch or change or meld or mold differently? And as I did, I was, thinking about what I love to do. And I outed myself last time I was on the show as a, avid organizational fiend. Like I love everything, organized in my home, everything just right. Always have since I was a kid. And so I was thinking about, I love organizing. The work I do is a lot about organizing energy, patterns, so that kind of vibes. And then my mind went back to this canister. And so this is a canister that I fortuitously found. It was a pasta sauce jar. And once it was used, I looked at it, I was like, this is so interesting. I bet that it would fit all of the cashews that my boyfriend really likes to eat, this very particular brand, but it comes in a really odd size that if you're, you don't want just an open plastic bag, you have to decant it. And with the size, it's like, do I do two jars? Do I do one big fat one? But then there's wasted space in the pantry. It looks messy. This was perfect. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go back to the store. So I have two of them for the two kind of sets of nuts that he likes. And so I got there, and of course, it was like a limited time offering. It was sold out. So I measured this baby, went on Amazon like any, avid organizer would do, trying to find the same dimensions. And of course, the lid wouldn't be the same. So, even just the thought of that would lead this girl to like drink every time I opened, the pantry and saw things uneven. And so I was like, thinking about that, I'm like, okay, well, whatever, Denise, forget organizing. Let's get back to the task at hand, which is talking about, titans and pets. So I'm walking along the ocean right where the water meets the sand, and I'm getting tackled a lot. A lot of things are in the water, and I look down, and I've been walking the same beach in Venice for, 8 years now. And I've never seen so many oyster shells and shells just kind of washed onto the shoreline, and they were beautiful. It was just mother of pearl. It was, blue and white and silver shells, just everywhere on the beach. And I was like, wow, there, I wonder if there's like a, fishing boat or something. This is really uncommon. And I thought to myself, because one of the energies we'll talk about today also is the sea nymphs. I'm like, wow, the sea nymphs are like really showing off today. I kind of chuckled and I rounded the jetty and I walked. And 2 feet in front of me, I find this. And
No way.
I swear to God. And I was like, wait a minute, that is so weird. And I look at it and I think back to this and I'm like, no way. And I look at it
Mm.
and I keep walking. I'm like, gross, no way. Because as much as I like organizing, I'm also a germaphobe. And so I walk away from it and I go back towards it. I'm like, no, 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 that's gross. You can't. And then I go back a third time. I'm like, if the sea nymphs are showing off and sharing this with you, why would you say no? Why would you turn down the
Mm.
gift? So lo and behold, today the sea nymphs were showing off in major ways. I've got the 2 canisters I wanted. For
Wow.
anyone who's a germaphobe like me, this has been washed and boiled like 4 times over, dishwasher ran 4 times, another like 10 times before I actually use it. But what are the odds? On Venice Beach, right in front of me, there was nothing gross in it. Nobody had, stored anything, uh, unattractive in it, to say the least. There was no rust in the lid. It's perfect.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. And so I thought, well, I always open John's show with an interesting story, and I didn't think I was going to have one today. And lo and behold, this is Titan energy. This is what we can expect, this co creative ability with the universe, this relationship with the deities like Apollo, Diana, Kronos, the sea nymphs. This is what we get to tap into, and all because our animal companions have gotten our energy and our awareness and consciousness to a place where we're now able to co-create with them.
Mm. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. And I've had some pretty magical synchronicities show up in me that I'm told I'm supposed to be somewhere and to go, and it seems like it's something that would seem really small and just kind of like, I'm just gonna go, just kind of in the heart space. And then what it would provide in the gifts, which I'm not ready to reveal right now, but the huge level of opportunity that got presented there. After I've been like stuck in the mud, things aren't moving. I don't know why things aren't appearing. I'm working, I'm holding the space, nothing, nothing, nothing. And all of a sudden, just boom,
Yeah.
just boom. And what I was doing in between in that void space that I was calling, it's a lot of recalibration. I needed to nap a lot. My body was going through physical pain. My mind was in going through waves of assimilation and also dismantling simultaneously. Um, so there's a lot in the field right now of how we're evolving and our capacities through that evolution.
Yeah, and it didn't happen overnight.
No.
I think a lot of us here on this call, I can attest to the fact that, a lot of people I work with, we felt a little bit suspended since probably September of last year. This
Yeah.
very weird, like, I don't know what's going on. I can't, nothing seems to land. I don't have that motivation. I'm tired. I got to rest a lot.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this notion of Titan energy and pets actually came through last July, about this time last year, during a reading with a dear member of my soul pack and our dog. We did a reading, and the dog almost kind of checked in and checked out, was like, I'm busy. I'm working with Diana right now. And I was getting a lot of these messages from pets that they're partnering with Diana and Athena and different Titans. So I kept trying to like revisit this topic and open up to it. And it
Mm.
just wasn't landing. It wasn't getting traction until now. Literally a week ago, just all this stuff started downloading. And when it started downloading, this sense of being suspended or stagnant, this sense of needing to rest a lot, it all came to light. The reason why the timeline we're on seems really big, very emotionally charged. There's nothing small or secondary about what's going on in our world. It's because we're opening up to Titan energy. And if we think of Titan energy, if we think of the Greek gods and goddesses, nobody was a wallflower. It was powerful. It was big emotions. It was big abilities, big passions, big capabilities, big transformation, creating new worlds. And this is what we're stepping into, not only through our partnership with our pets and this Titan energy, but also we're receiving this upgrade in our chakra systems where we're seeing our 7 major chakras kind of coalesce and become 3 prismatic multidimensional ones. So what they've shared and we'll talk about today really explained a lot for me about, oh my gosh, that's why we're all exhausted. That's why we're all
Mhm.
napping. That's why we all feel suspended, because there's a lot of reimagining going on in our physical beings, in our energetic beings, in our spiritual beings, and in our world.
There's a lot that's coming through. So, why significantly for you with pets and the Titan energy? And what have we done? I don't have a familiar. I don't have a pet at home, but this
Mhm.
energy is still running through me. It's like it's if you can bring in how they correlate and how this is really coming up for us in different ways, that'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. So, whether or not you've had, well, actually, let me start with one disclaimer. As we talk about Titan energy, we need to make a note on language because for anybody who's well versed in mythology, there was a very specific group of gods early on, which were referred to as the Titans. When we're using the terminology of Titan energy, we're going to be using it more as a descriptor, right? Titan energy, as we're going to speak about it today, is not so much referring to that specific group of gods. It's referring to godlike, amplified,
Mm.
big energy. Think like titans of industry, right? That kind of descriptor. So as we talk about Titan energy, I just want to make sure that we're clear on that because some mythology buffs might be like, wait a minute, this isn't quite tracking. And so, how Titan energy has come about now is mostly due to our pets, right? Our animal companions have helped in our evolution from jump, right? Even as animal consciousness, as groups, they've been here serving and guiding and acting as gateways and catalysts for humanity. It started as early as in the Garden of Eden or any kind of paradise lost story where humans and animal companions lived in harmony. There was that synchronicity, that interspecies communication, kind of that ideal existence. And then famously, Snake was the one who supported Adam and Eve to kind of leave the bounds of that garden and explore the world around them. And ever since then, our animal companions have been walking in lockstep with us. So much so when we were tribal and nomadic, even though we didn't really have pets yet, we still had that connection with animals in the wild and group consciousness. We understood them to be keepers of symbolism, of magic, of messages from the spirit world. Native American culture, which I'm the most familiar with, they attributed a lot of specific magic and characteristics to animals like the eagle or the wolf. So they've always been guiding and showing us the way in some way, shape, or form. And then once they were domesticated, that's when the game changed altogether, right? Because
Mm.
rather than having connections only to animals in the wild or group consciousness of our animal companions, we were able to form a very deep bond one on one with our pets. And then they were able to coach us in brand new ways, right? Through their behavior, they were able to mirror our energy, kind of mirror back to us our energetic clutter, which helped us, understand, manage, and balance our energetic beings, our containers, our space. They helped us open up to interspecies communication, right? When you're what your dog's thinking or what your cat's thinking in any way, in any moment. A lot of that has kind of translated to animal communication more broadly, right? So this interspecies communication came into play. And through our understanding of energy, we were also able, through the support of our animal companions, to open up to new abilities and technologies, right? A lot of us, if our pet is not feeling well, that's when we go headfirst into the hands on healing modalities like Reiki. We do muscle testing. We start understanding the different tools we have available to us in the energy. And we understand our interconnectedness. How, if I do Reiki on one of my chakra centers, it can affect the chakra center of my pet. And it keeps going. They, through their energy, as we expand, their coaching expanded. They taught us through their energy to access different portals, realms, go on journeys with them. They taught us how to shapeshift our energy, our space, and even our physicality. They shared with us about our 8 primordial cells and how, along with the Palladians, they've been kind of upgrading our system to be more multidimensional. And through all these steps, which, by the way, I've introduced step by step on your show alone, it's always been a catalyst. Through these foundations that, they started us building, now we're opening up and we're ready to open up and claim that Titan energy,
Mm.
these capacities and abilities to create and be and do in ways that were reserved only for the gods. Now we're stepping into that. And so they've been, amazing partners throughout. And not only have they helped us expand our awareness and our energies, but because of that, it's also shifting physically. We talked about the 7 major chakras in our linear chakra system. It's changing, it's evolving, it's becoming more multidimensional. They're coalescing into 3 energetic centers. So when you ask us, how have our pets really contributed? Man alive, they've been guides, they've been gateways, they've been catalysts, they've been showing us the way and supporting and loving us through it the entire time.
Mm. And again, it's those bonds and that there's an intimacy in those connections that allows for something to seep in that otherwise may not. And the way that's being held, and there's a mastery in which the pets or the animal companions or the animal guides show up that allows for a different type of assimilation
Mhm.
and integration as well. So it's really powerful. It's as we talk about the physical and emotional um, symptoms for this acclimation, what I really appreciated about what you're sharing is that you're giving context to something that many of us are experiencing. And even by just receiving context to it, it's a facilitation because it's not just random. It's not just like someone's pushing us from behind and we can't see what's happening. What's the next step from this place of, again, reintegration and rest period and the void period? What's presenting itself on as we're emerging from that phase?
Mhm. It's empowerment, right?
Mm,
I think a lot of us, especially in this spiritual community, we felt a little disoriented because we're like, what's going on? This just feels so weird. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's shifting and changing.
mm,
So when we get more context, we understand what's going on. We also give ourselves a bit more space and grace to say, you know what, I get why I was napping, or now I get why I need to nap.
mm,
It's very similar to me how, my personal experience. I've always been kind of a low energy person. And, my family, everybody's super high energy, high achieving. I've always been the laid back, I got a nap girl. And once I learned about human design and I understood I was a projector and they were generators or manifesting generators, I was like, oh, I'm not lazy. I'm a
mm,
projector. I just need kind of time to run energy and do things a bit differently. I get tired when my energy is always interacting with theirs. That makes sense. So I think a lot of what we'll talk about today has been a tremendous gift, at least for me, because now when I can contextualize and understand, I feel more empowered. Now I have a roadmap of what to do, right? Whereas before, you might just feel a little disoriented or even discouraged. Like, man, I did all
right.
this work. Why am I feeling this way? Why is the world affecting me in this way? I thought I was past that. No, we're changing, we're evolving, we're growing.
Mm. So I want to get into because I love the mythology, first of all. It's always been alive in me ever since I was young. But you mentioning the sea nymphs and Apollo and what's coming through there. Where do you want to start? Should we start with Apollo?
I love that. Well, let's start with Apollo would be a great place to start. I do want to talk a little bit more about the chakra system, just because I
Mm,
think it's really good foundational information.
excellent.
So we know the 7 chakras, right? We understand, what they are. Most of us have worked with them. We understand that they are located in different areas of our body, and that each of our 7 chakras are associated with, physical aspects of ourselves, emotional, and also different themes and spiritual lessons. Each of those 7 chakras also have numbers assigned to them, except for the first and second chakra have 2 numbers each. right?
Mm.
And so what's interesting is when you overlay the numerology or the meaning behind the numbers that are assigned to each of the seven chakras, they really support the themes. Like the first chakra is all about, safety, security, grounding, all of that stuff. And I'm not going to go through all the themes because most people are pretty familiar with that. Now, one thing about numerology, which is interesting, is numerology has the base numbers 1 through 9, which carry very specific energy, very tied into the seven chakras. But in numerology, there's also master vibrations, the numbers of 11, 22, and 33. And those carry more amplified, multidimensional, complex energies versus the base numbers 1 through 9. 11 is the number of intuition and connecting to your intuition and the universe. 22 is the number of foundations, self
Mm.
mastery, boundaries, empowerment. 33 is that cosmic parent, the cosmic galactic energy. It's being connected to the universe, understanding the mysteries and the ways of the universe. So, as we've been working with our animal companions to kind of work through the themes associated with our chakras 1 through 7, what we're finding is that chakra system, the seven traditional chakras, are coalescing now. And the way this came about is, I have a monthly soul pack oracle card reading, and it's just a wonderful group that gets together. And
Mm.
this past month, there was a lot of messaging around grounding, 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 grounding. And we noticed on the call and kind of discussed and talked about the fact that, man, when we ground into our first chakra, it doesn't feel the same anymore. It doesn't feel
Mm.
like that safety, security, anchoring, grounding. It feels more expansive. It feels more of like the energy of 11. And so that's what kind of started all rolling in this information of our chakras coalescing. So those seven traditional chakras, they're not going away. They're just melding into something more prismatic. So now we have three multidimensional, multifaceted energy centers overlaying our chakras. The first and second chakras have been coalesced into what I'm calling 11 energy chakra.
Mm.
The third, fourth, and fifth chakras have been coalesced into that 22 chakra, which is all about that mastery embodiment. And then the sixth and seventh chakras are coalescing into that prismatic energy of the 33 master vibration, right?
Mm.
And so, what's interesting, and the reason why it's so important, is this gives us more multidimensional access, right? And so, this translates directly to how we receive and interact with energy, messages, our guides, communication, all of it. And so, as we all start our spiritual journey and we start connecting in with guides, odds are we're having very linear discussions, right? So think of a shoestring with two cans. It's directive. You're either sending or receiving. You can't do both, and it's very linear connection, right? And then as you expand in your consciousness, you create you kind of grow, and your energy grows, your understanding of energy grows. You create kind of something more omnidirectional. It's more of like an infinity loop. And this is wonderful because, yes, you're still interacting and receiving, but you're creating a feedback loop, a closed circuit where you're receiving, but then you're also kind of informing, incorporating, and affecting the information in both directions. So you're a bit more of a participant in the communication. You're informing the communication. You're part of the discussion. It's a dialogue, not just receiving, right? And where we are now that we've tapped into these 30, these master vibration energy of the chakras, we're creating something that instead of linear or, modular is going to be more web-like. So that's something like this. Like if you guys remember that cats in the cradle
Mm.
game, it's something more dimensional. There's a lot more nodes, a lot of points of communication, if this, then that. And this is one of those wonderful games that you need someone to interact with, and it changes completely when they pull and use the string in different ways. This is how we now are interacting and co-creating with the universe. It's multi-dimensional. And because we've reached this point, now we're able to tap into those godlike Titan energy capabilities and relationships. So that's where now Apollo isn't just, something we read about or something that we aspire or think's kind of neat. It is actually a blueprint of what we can create and do. So, Apollo, being the god of the sun, he's here to help us understand Titan energy in terms of illuminating our relationships, our new foundations, and sacred contracts.
Mm.
Um, Titan energy really does speak to the entirety of human potential. But with that energy being so big, we want to make sure that we're breaking it up into bite sized morsels because even
Mhm.
no matter how multidimensional we are as humans right now, we still do best absorbing energy in small bite sized pieces. And so the Greek gods and goddesses are the perfect personifications of small segments of subsegments of energy. But as we work with an Apollo, as we work with a Diana, as we work with a Kronos, even though it's a micro pattern that we're working with, it still affects the macro fabric of the universe and that Titan energy. So Apollo's going to help illuminate new foundations, sacred contracts. We get to reevaluate who we're connecting with, what we're doing, which is so important also with this Lionsgate energy coming in, that sun, that beautiful, solar energy and that Lyran energy coming in. Apollo supports us in that moment. And that's just one of the examples. We can keep going, but I want to pause and see where you want to take the conversation.
No, I think it's wonderful. And again, the awareness of the chakra system. And again, the three sets, it's very in alignment of what I've been experiencing also. And in that realignment, in the redistricting of our chakra system, truly, it's like we have this mail route that's getting more efficient to
Yeah.
deliver information. But what's happening is that we're also receiving and disseminating information in different ways. It doesn't come in necessarily as the intuition that we were used to in the way that we were used to in that intuition, or the guidance from guides that may have been coming in, or from the ground. It's taken on a different feel and loop, that feedback loop and creation. We're actually creating in that matrix with what was that double feedback loop in a different way. So th there's something that we're adjusting to there as well. And I'd love if you talk a little bit more into that based on whatever you're aware of.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because it's true. Information now is multifaceted. We don't have
Mm,
to do step one, step two, step three. It just all comes in. And so, with the chakra system and the upgrades going on to our energy and reflected in how we're absorbing and interacting with energy, we're no longer going from linear, we're going to prismatic. So things can come in all at once, multifaceted in lots of different directions, and we're able to absorb it. It's like being at a concert versus listening to something, on a tape. It's just coming in that full stereo sound. And that's where the Titan energy comes in because with the bigness of their energy, they're supporting the development and understanding of the different chakras. The same way our animal companions helped us understand our individual seven chakras through their behaviors and a very 2D version, a very mirroring, version of our energy system. Now that we understand that, now we can work with someone like Apollo on that 22 chakra,
mm,
which is illumination, mastery, foundation. So, what we're doing in essence is building new personifications, new contacts, new understandings of what we're able to do. Nothing happens the way it used to anymore. Now it happens. What's that? Everything all at once, everywhere, whatever that
yeah,
title that
yeah.
movie is. It's just we are in it. We no
Mm,
longer are, progressing toward. We are in it because we're part of it. We're creating it too.
wow. How can we be more aware of that in our lives when that's occurring?
And so this is where being proactive helps. When we understand that our chakras are kind of recoalescing, reforming to become more prismatic, we can roll with it, right? And so that's where, Diana, connecting in with Diana, the goddess of the hunt and the moon, she's going to be amazing to help us with that 11 energy, with that energy of intuition.
Mm,
So, just as any hunter would know, she's adept at looking at her surrounding, observing the tracks, finding the patterns, finding, the nuance and the energy to be able to find what she ultimately is seeking. She helps us with that first chakra, that 11
Mm,
energy chakra, right? It's not only, we're no longer grounding in our first chakra anymore, we're grounding into our intuition so that we can receive more. So even the ways that we ground on a daily basis are going to change. It's not this mentality of let me send my grounding cord into the earth through all of its layers. It's let me ground into what I know, sense, and feel. And what I love about that is that, our pets have helped us remember that we're intuitive. Diana is going to help us own it and really use it on a daily basis,
mm,
right? When it comes to Apollo, our pets taught us how to take space and create containers.
mm,
Apollo is going to teach us how to build within that space now, new foundations. Whereas our animal companions taught us to trust in divine timing, to trust in the bigger picture, even when they're sick or lost or something big has happened.
mm.
Kronos is going to come in and teach us not only to understand divine timing, but to actually create it and use it. So, there's still this really strong partnerships with our animal companions, with the beings of mythology. They're just serving as guides in conjunction with our animal companions. They are the blueprint now of what we're claiming.
Mm. This is really remarkable, and what Denise is explaining through the different titans that she's bringing up, and Kronos, Apollo, Diana, it's all part of the special offering. We'll get into the special offering a little bit because you get to interact and really enhance the experiences that are flowing through us right now collectively. But again, we get to like really sink in, and by the understanding and assimilation, I keep using the word assimilation, we're embodying um, what's possible now in new ways, and to have a foundation to build upon that gives us understanding and tools to also utilize what's coming in. It's what's becoming possible is extraordinary. And I don't think we're going to recognize ourselves 5 years from now, Denise, most of us.
I agree. I think we're really not only embodying, but we're activating and enacting these capabilities. What I love about Greek mythology is it's always been there, right? It's something that's transcended thousands of years. It's something that's always been passed down and reminded and brought back up into pop culture because there's a resonance to this notion of the pantheon of the Greco-Roman gods, right?
Mm,
And every so often it pops back up into, our society and our culture. Like in the 1940s, that's when Wonder Woman came back, right? And she
mm,
was based on Diana, and Aquaman came around that same time. He was based on Poseidon. It was
right.
reimagined and kind of translated into our modern discussion, but the capabilities, the energetic resonance of it was the same. In the
Mm,
1980s, we got Nike coming into, full into our pop culture. And Nike, of course, borrowed, the powers of its namesake, the goddess of victory and, strength, its power, its speed. We have Starbucks, for crying out loud, right? Talk about a titan
right.
of industry, and they borrowed the sea nymphs. And of course, even before our modern society, artists were always pulling on that. We had in the Renaissance Botticelli doing the Birth of Venus in that beautiful
Mm,
half shell. We had the neoclassical folks really pulling in on mythology. So my point is that mythology has been something that has always been present in our human psyche. We always looked at
mm,
it as tales or something interesting, but now we're bringing it back today, not to depict it or enjoy it for entertainment, but as a blueprint to really bring in that vibration into modern life. And so,
mm.
to your point, I don't think we're going to be able to recognize ourselves in 5 years.
No.
Our ability to create, co create with our pets, with the universe, with AI, with technology, like our world is expanding and opening up, and we're expanding with it. It'd be silly
Mhm.
of us to think that our energy system would remain the same. And so that's where, when it came through about our chakra system being upgraded, I was like, well, of course, that makes sense.
That makes sense. How are our pets shifting along with us?
So the same way that they've always done, they hold that energetic resonance ahead of us. So their chakra system is also changing and mutating to coalesce to reflect those big energy centers as well. One thing that I found, and this is tough for us as humans is, especially in the past few months, starting in April, we've seen a lot of pets disembody and depart.
Mhm.
And it's heartbreaking for us because we love them so much and they are just such amazing companions. But a lot of what they're doing is they're holding that energy, that vibrational resonance in the other side, in the energetic world, so that we can attune to it and open up, especially with that foundational 11 chakra, because it's all about intuition and trusting our intuition. And
Mhm.
there's nothing that drives our intuition and desire to connect and have interspecies communication than knowing that our pet is on the other side. We can connect with them. So that's one of the big ways that they've really been enhancing this upgrade to our system. But also, they've already had it. They've been holding that space so that we can attune to it as well.
Mhm. I want to get into a special offer here because I want to go deep into what you're providing. It's again the way that you teach, the tools that you give, the prompts that you use to help us rock what's coming through. It's so grounding and expansive for me simultaneously, and allows me to hold like a higher standard that's elevated that's really inviting me into a depth of consciousness. And I say this in reverence to the sea nymphs, um, that's available to us. But again, and sometimes unless someone pushes us to pitch the ball harder, we're not going to because we're just used to doing it in the same way that we're always doing it. And it's like that extra inspiration or extracting that from us so that we can see something new within ourselves. Um, I think we don't practice that enough anymore. But you have a way of bringing this out by a standard that you hold. So the special offer, y'all, is absolutely fantastic. All of the nieces, talk about a teacher of teachers. Denise is just exceptional at the way she presents. And so every time she comes on BTO, I just know that the special offer is going to be extraordinary. And this one's taken on a whole new level. So I want to invite each and every one of y'all to click on the special offer button right underneath the video where you're watching the call from. The link's in the chat box, and you can always find the special offers at beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And Denise, before we get into special offer though, tell us a little bit more about what the sea nymphs are
I
inviting
love
us into
that.
as well. Yeah.
Yes, as I said, they were showing off today, so they'd be very upset if we if we didn't give them special attention.
Oh, I gotta give them special attention without question. Yeah.
So again, with language, right? Sea nymphs is, a term from the Greco-Roman mythology. A lot of people think of nymphs and mermaids interchangeably. Sea nymphs basically represent energy spirits of the water, right? So all mermaids are sea nymphs, but sea nymphs aren't necessarily half maiden, half fish. So whereas they're used interchangeably. So when I say sea nymphs, whatever energy comes to mind works, because what's important about them is their relationship with water. And as we talk about Titan energy, transforming our energy, our chakra system up leveling, it's intense, right? As we started off, nothing small or wallflower like about Titan energy. So we're going to need extra help integrating and manifesting changes and really kind of playing with this energy. And that's where the sea nymphs come into play because of their relationship with water and our emotions, right? So the sea nymphs are going to escort us in really beautiful ways to get to know and engage and play with the water as a healing method, but also as a manifestation tool. Um, not only in our, special offer, we'll go into it in our meditation, they're literally going to take us into the current so we can integrate. But what they teach us, more importantly, is the refractive elements of water and how
Mm.
that's reflecting our current reality and what's going on right now. Because if you think about water, right, a lot of us can imagine or think back to a point where one of the cool things about water is it can make anything look cubistic, right? Because of the flow and the retracting elements. If you see something reflected in water, you don't see perfect lines. You see kind of impressions of, what that thing is. Monet was great at doing the water lilies and the reflections of the water lilies in the water. Why that's going to be important is water's going to shape our perception of things. Anything that gets reflected in water, any shape, any shadow, it the refraction kind of breaks it up so it's less dense. And anything that's less dense and has more space in it can accept more light. And when it can accept more light, it can be shifted and transmuted and dissipated. So, water and sea nymphs are going to help us bring anything we need to release into the water to kind of add that light into it to dissipate it and turn it into flow and emotional energy. And our pets, by the way, have been really great at this too, right? They've taught us through their behaviors that a bark isn't just a bark. Having accidents, if your cat's having accidents outside the litter
Mm.
box, it's not just that. We kind of look back at the bigger picture and see, what it's shaping. So we've practiced this with our pets. Now the sea nymphs help us bring this into other aspects of our lives. The other aspect of water, other than the refracting ability to kind of dissipate things to be able to transmute them, the second thing that's really cool about water is the manifesting ability that we have in there because it's quiet, it's incubated. There's different life, there's different images, different colors, different vibrations. Any noise and distractions are muffled in there. So it's going to be a very convenient and safe space for us to manifest. Also, in the water, we're in a whole new world, right? So possibilities are endless. Whereas on land, we always know what to expect. So
Mm.
we manifest something in the water using the sea nymphs, methodology and support. Then, if we adhere to the universal principle of as above, so below, anything we create in the water will manifest on land. So the sea nymphs really help us with that emotional integration, with understanding how to use that refractile properties of water to shift our perceptions and break up anything dense, and then how to manifest in water. Because it's easier, it's that beautiful kind of in utero experience, and then it manifests outside.
I love the way your brain synthesizes all this. It is absolutely amazing what comes through. Y'all, this is so good. Of course, we're going to run the replay and come back into this because just understanding just the beginnings of what Denise is sharing right now, and again, we go deeper in the special offer, but just even understanding this and to swim and co-create um, with this level of deep embodiment that we're being given access to is profound. Um, I want to get into Q&A in a little bit. So if y'all have questions, raise your hand, type questions into the chat box. We already have some questions coming in the chat. And again, we can take Q&A regarding your pets, regarding the Titans, ask Denise whatever questions seem appropriate, and she will guide it into specifically what's amplifying in the field right now. But before we do that, let's go ahead and go into the offer, Denise, because again, there's so much in this. I don't even know how you're going to cover that in the time that we have left and still take Q&A because there's so much, but I know we'll do it. So guide us into what everybody's going to receive in the three different offers that you have for us.
Perfect. So I'm pulling this up right now. And so package A is, pets and the Titan energy. So that's going to be a wonderful course that we get to do together. There's 3 live modules,
Mm.
but it kicks off with the first intro module, which literally was finalized last night at 7 p.m. So this is all really hot off the presses.
Mm.
And so the intro module is going to help you guys understand a lot of what we've, touched upon today. So it's going to talk about, the ancient gods of mythology, why gods, what's Titan energy, how are our pets helping us, incorporate and integrate all of this energy, what's their role, and
Mm.
kind of an overview of Apollo, Diana, and Kronos, and an overview of the sea nymphs and the power of water. This module, this intro module, also goes really a lot deeper into our chakra system, the upgrades, and our omnidirectional, multidimensional communication. So this module is ready to go. As soon as you sign up, you'll be able to access this slide presentation. And I would even recommend you watching it a couple times just to really kind of incorporate these concepts and let them sink in. The next module, this is going to be our first live module, and this is going to be all about Diana, intuition, boundaries, and symbolic patterning. And this is going to take place on August 12th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Replays will be available, and also the technology I use allows you to enter in your question before class if you want a mini reading or if you have a question, because I want to make sure that everybody's included. Um, the reason for this date, August 12th, is because one, it's past the 8-8 Lion's Gate, which is always really powerful and illuminating. But August 13th is a day that they celebrate Diana. So I thought that was a perfect date for us to really kind of kick off our course, highlight Diana and how she helps us, with intuition, setting boundaries, and working on that 11 energy of that multidimensional chakra. And this is going to be part didactic, but then most of it is going to be a guided journey that we go along, we meet Diana, we work with her on our intuition. And then at the end, there'll be a live share, a Q&A, an opportunity to get a mini reading. So we really get to go deep on an experience together, but then understand, what did it mean to you? How do we integrate this? How do we use it? So that's module 1 on August 12th. The next live module is going to be Apollo, all about illuminating relationships, contracts, soul contracts, and our new foundations that we want to build. So having built our intuition in that 11 energy with Diana, now the next week we're moving in with Apollo. Same thing, it's going to be part didactic. Most of it's going to be a guided journey that we get to go along together, and then do a live share and Q&A to understand what that means specifically for you and your pet. And that'll be on August 19th. And then the third module is going to be with Kronos. And so now that we've understand our intuition, we've built and understood our sacred contracts, embodied our mastery. Now we're working with Kronos on time, timelines, and manifestation, learning quite literally how to braid all of these new realities and timelines together. Again, it's going to be part didactic. Most of it's going to be that guided journey that we'll do together. Then we'll have the live share and mini readings. All of these, as I said, will have a replay, and you'll also receive the MP3, so that if you want to go on the journey multiple times that week or even thereafter, it will be yours to engage in. What I found in these kind of courses is every time you go back on a journey, you go deeper. So I want to make sure that everybody has access to the MP3s of those 3 journeys that we'll do together. The next thing that we have within this package is going to be an invitation to join one of our animal oracle card group readings. This is where our soul pack gets together. We pull tarot cards or from oracle card decks. I pull for the group pulls for the group, and then we do individual one-on-one for each of you. Great way to understand the energy of that month, get some personalized messages. And if you can't join live, you'll receive a replay, and you'll be invited to join the group reading of the following month after you sign up. So if you signed up in July, you'd be invited to the August Animal Oracle Card group reading. If you sign up in August, you'll be invited to the September Oracle Card group reading. So that's package 1. All of that.
Wow. That's just package 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then package B includes everything in, package 1 or package A, plus a 30-minute intuitive reading with me. And this is where, we one-on-one, we hop on the phone. I pull the numerology of your name, your animal companions' names. We understand the messages that are coming through for you. And I always like to give a couple different caveats to these readings. One is, different animal communicators get different sorts of information. Some get, I like this toy, others get a lot of medical stuff. What tends to come through most strongly for me is what's going on in the human's life through the lens of the pet, because when we understand our energy, our vibrations, our gifts, we vibe higher, so can our pets. And even if you don't have a pet, or your pet has transitioned and is on the other side, we're still able to do a reading. We just use the energy of animals as kind of that access point. And we can still get messages from pets who have transitioned or childhood pets, all of it's on the table.
So how about for people who don't have pets? I know my experience of you. I don't have a pet, but I want you to explain, and then I can share afterwards.
So for usually people who come to me, even if they don't have a pet, they have an open heart. And they've come through we've connected through the love of animals. And so
Mm.
that's where we still get a lot of messages coming through group animal consciousness, through the energy of pets. They just are that gateway that open your heart, and then fair game. Your guides come through, all sorts of energetic beings come through. So you absolutely do not have to currently have a pet or ever even had a pet to do the reading.
And there's a lot that comes through also with purpose and current path and what's awakening and healing, aligned relationships. Denise is exceptional in her readings, in her sessions. So again, I've had several because they've been so good. And I know to lean in and reach out because again, she tends to raise the standard as to even what I see as possible. And I hold pretty high standards, but she's like, wait, you can also take it up here. This is also available up here. So it's I highly, highly recommend the session with Denise. Um, but let's get, and I do have to give props to the first package as well. It's amazing what you're offering there. But as you were speaking, not but and as you were speaking about it, y'all, we are learning how to communicate with each other, with our pets, with the Titan energy, with our guides, all. We're refining and attuning to a way of communicating with one another that's here to be of service to us and to humanity. And to be able to integrate that new vernacular and have the courage or even the understanding to speak so audaciously for what it is that you truly stand for and what's streaming through in your heart and your part coming as a soul during this time and how you're leading through that expansionary energy of becoming you. It's profound. And so our capacity to communicate from that way. I see a lot of pets on video right now also where our pets are teaching us as they're such great direct communicators, loving as well. It's truly extraordinary. So the archetype, the energies, the guidance that are being offered through Diana, through Apollo, through Kronos. It's extraordinary. Again, I just love the way that you're synthesizing all this and using it as an amplification of what's possible. I had to go into a special offer there, y'all, because I see such deep teachings and activations that are happening through this. So I wanted to offer that for package A as well. So package B includes package A plus 30 minutes with you, and then package C, Denise.
Package C is for the dog pet parents who, are still living with the realities of having a pet, right? Sometimes we get a new puppy and we want to set them up for success, or maybe we have a longtime companion who we just want to engage with and keep them mentally stimulated. This is going to be more around traditional dog training, except for we always have a mindful slant to it. So this is everything you need to know to raise or interact with your animal companions, your dog specifically in new ways. There's PDFs, everything from Puppy 101 to managing separation anxiety, managing unwanted
Mhm.
behaviors like nipping, chewing, barking, accidents, housebreaking, all of that stuff. There's PDFs. There are also very like 25-minute videos on each topic, plus videos with step-by-step how to work with them on different commands, different games. So this can be a really great way to learn to engage with your animal companion with traditional training, but also with the energetic considerations. So if your pet is having accidents, what does that mean energetically? What do we want to look at in our lives? If your animal companion is barking or jumping or nipping, what does that mean more broadly for what's going on in our lives? So it's traditional training and know-how with always that energetic consideration that our pets bring to us. So this
Mm.
would be more for the pet parent who has a dog with them that they want to play with, build their relationship, kind of build the way that they communicate.
And it teaches communication on so many different levels. It
Mhm.
really does. Yeah, this offer is extraordinary. Again, for me today, it's part of my favorite part of the call also. And I've been enjoying all of it, but I know how deep y'all are going to get to go. And so it excites me of what's going to be received. So it's, yeah, I hope y'all take advantage of it if it's calling to. Again, the session with Denise is epic, to say the least. And all of it, truly something again that I hope that you take advantage of. The links underneath the video where you're watching, it's a special offer button there. The links in the chat box as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, look for the link in the comments section. You'll be able to find and click on there and be able to participate. Again, all the live calls will be recorded. There'll be replays. When you sign up, you're going to get access to pre-recorded material as well. It's part of the course. So again, lots to benefit from here. Um, you're amazing, Denise. Thank you for putting this together. Um,
Love something that you said during it, which kind of prompted something that's I think important in this discussion,
mm,
right? And it's this notion that the same way that Titan energy or these these gods and goddesses have inspired superheroes or the superhero genre, no one's coming to save us. Their role isn't to be these high and mighty energies.
mm,
The role is to be our partner in this, right? Because we are the superheroes. We're
mm,
kind of stepping into our superhero like abilities and powers. And so the same way that, we did the cat's cradle, they're going to be there next to you pulling the strings, and then you're going to
mm,
pull the strings. So one thing I love about the way that these journeys have kind of come about and come together, and even the subject matter more generally, is the gods are amongst us. They're partners.
mm,
They're not teachers. They're not anything to look up to. They're holding a vibrational resonance for us to step into as well. We're
mm.
shoulder to shoulder. And that's why journeys are so fun, because you get to experience that and then get the insight and validation thereafter.
Well, and back to the beginning call, and it makes sense that this powerful energy is coming in, and while our bodies have been adjusting to them, while we've needed more sleep, while we've needed to eat differently, while we had to kind of shut the door on some things that weren't really nurturing in that way. But th think about opening the doors to other possibilities that were also coming in. So this
Mhm.
Titan energy, as Denise is describing it, this huge energy it's got its grips on us and how amazing and how exciting, but also how wonderful that you've been illuminating today, Denise, of why we need more rest. What's taken place through this rebirthing um, that we're experiencing and also give context how exciting it is of what we're building into. So again, extraordinary. Again, thank you, Denise. Um, let's go ahead, y'all. Yeah, are y'all ready for live Q&A? Y'all want to
Yeah,
dive in? Yeah. All
absolutely.
right, let's go to it. Karen E, let's start with you. If you don't mind unmuting your microphone, and what is your question for Denise?
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful to have you on here. What's your question for Denise?
My question is, this is my puppy Luna.
Hmm.
She has rocked my world, and I would just like to know if I'm a Reiki master and I should know, but I do some Reiki with her. Does she have a chakra that needs a little more work?
Oh my goodness. I love everything about this. First of all, Luna is absolutely gorgeous.
Isn't she the
Um,
best?
she's beautiful. And I love working with pet parents who are also energy healers or work with energy modalities, because that whole comment of, I should know this, but I don't. It's so hard with our own animal companions, right? It's like trying to edit our own closet. We can do it for someone else. For us, we just need a little more perspective.
True.
So a couple things that come through really beautifully is, I always look at the numerology of the human's name and the pet's names. And so, Karen, you are a beautiful healer with that 95 energy within your name. You also have the amplified 55 energy of that throat chakra, the leadership, always benevolent. But what your name starts with that K is that 11 over 2. And Luna's name starts with the master vibration 33. So, what's really interesting is both of you are coming together at this perfect time to hold that 11 vibration and the 33 vibration, right? So,
Wow.
she is helping bring that grounded intuition into more of that co-creation ability, whereas for Luna, you're bringing in more of that co-creation universal energy of the moon down to Diana's energy, the energy of 11. So as you guys work together, it's less about one chakra that's looking for the extra support. It's about that feedback loop. It's connecting the 11 through the 22 with the 33. So it's almost like now, as you work with your Reiki, implement and add in the overlay of those 3 master vibrational chakras and create an infinity symbol over them so that the energy can flow. And that's what she's helping, or you guys are helping each other kind of manifest and bring together here, which I absolutely adore, because then you can let us know what it's like working with these multidimensional chakras in this way.
She's wonderful. Her infinite love is amazing. We're also working with bringing more to the soil to help Mother Gaia with the ley lines and to regenerate what has been lost.
Beautiful. That is so perfect and so on topic. And so call in on Diana, Apollo, and Kronos to kind of do that. Diana, especially, right? Goddess of
Awesome.
the moon, Luna, it's all right there.
I'm a Cancer, Luna. Hello.
Wonderful. Thank you for
Mm.
sharing her energy with us. Look at those smiles.
Oh my God,
Isn't she
right?
amazing?
Amazing.
What a
Very
sweetheart.
sweet.
Thank you, guys.
All
Thank
right, Karen, thank you. Blessings too. Let's go now. Kara, welcome to the call.
Hi, John. Hi,
Hi, Kara.
Denise. Thanks for having me. I started with a question, and then as soon as you said, hey, let's do Q&A, my friend Patrick here stepped up to say hi, Denise, and now he's going to leave. So I don't know if he had a question for you. I always ask if they show up like they do. So
And so Patrick is your little feline friend over there. I see a little tail, but not much else.
that's great. Yeah. Well, he's not quite little. He's
Mm.
very big and strong.
I love that. Okay, perfect. So let me pull in the information for Patrick. Okay, perfect. Woo. Okay. So Patrick is all telepathic all the time, which you are as well. You start with that 11/2 energy. Patrick's intuition is very deep seated in his 11 chakra. Now it's the second chakra, which now is being encompassed and morphing into that 11 energy. So Patrick is really talking about wanting you to go kind of deeper into your gut instincts as well, to really go back, revisit your gut instincts, understand and trust them. Because what's been happening is historically, and you might have already moved past this, but he's showing a pattern where your gut instinct comes up, but because you want to be nice or give people the benefit of the doubt or say, you know what, let me find the best in each situation, you discard it. But then you always learn, like, I should have listened. But this next time comes up and you're like, no, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. So what he's talking about is that pattern, and also saying that there's something beautiful about humanity when we can see them and love them for everything that they are rather than their potential. And that's going to be really important, because as we begin to work with like Kronos on weaving new timelines, when we weave and we braid these timelines together, we're going to be braiding in things that aren't so wonderful and full of spice and sugar. But when you add it into that whole, braid or picture or tapestry, it adds dimension and color. So its power is lessened. So there's a very beautiful message from Patrick about that, very philosophical.
He's yeah, okay. That has so many layers to it, because if that 11, that's the 1 and 2 chakras you talked about. So it's interesting because he has had like digestive issues most of his life, and then I had some my own things that came up around that area. So I'm wondering if, like you're talking about the 3 chakras and weaving those together, if we're at a point that we're both going to, with this new system, let's say, or this new connection, if we're going to surpass that and take it to the next level. And then that's where the interesting part too is you're talking about the gods, and they started showing up for me a couple years ago. And I kept thinking, like, why do I keep seeing things called the Titans everywhere? And I've studied like Greek mythology and all that in college, interestingly enough. I was guided to that. So this has so many facets to it that I'm amazed. And yeah, okay. Because then
Yeah.
you talk about the sea nymphs and the reflection of water. And it's funny because I thought of John, because what I kept thinking of is water is in a water sign. So hearing this, Karen is a Cancer, and I know John's a Pisces, and I'm a Pisces. Is that about the reflection even from the sea nymphs that's in the water of those who are that water sign? Is that?
Absolutely. And so you are picking up what they're putting down. Is
Okay.
what they're saying. So absolutely go with those threads. And the water was important. I was going to bring it up if you didn't. So when you talk about the issues of, the second chakra and digestion, absolutely use water and the refracting properties of water to disperse it, bring more light in, and kind of disperse that old pattern or energy. So yes, 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 and yes. Everything you said is right on. So feel it, go in with it, and that's you. He brought you right where you needed to be.
Wow, that he walked right up and was like, "Excuse me, Denise needs to talk to me." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
I love that. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Kara, good to see you. Welcome.
Take care.
All right, Catherine, welcome to the call.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Hi.
Hi, John. Hi, Denise. This has been beyond what I thought because I've been swimming in the sea a lot and being guided there to cleanse and clear. So, I mean, and the whole womb chakra, lower chakra thing has been really evolving. But I came on because Lucia, my little friend here, about a year ago, a friend of mine's an animal communicator, and she said, Catherine, she showed up as the goddess Athena. So when you started talking about this today, it just lit me up. And I'm feeling called to communicate with her more deeply. I mean, we do, but I was just looking forward to your feedback on her connection with Athena.
I love that. Okay. And so Lucia, just so I get the spelling right,
Yes.
Ucia.
Yes.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So a few things that come up with Lucia. Lord Almighty, 333, right in the beginning of her name. So that 33 chakra energy, that multidimensional energy of 33, so part of her being, the co-creating with the universe, kind of the wisdom, the knowing, all of that is so part of Lucia.
Yeah.
You also, by the way, are a tremendous healer. You have the 59 and the 95 energy within your name, which when I see that in numerology, 59 is the empathic healer. So you bring in energy, filter it like a Brita, put out clean and higher vibrations. But
Yeah.
what Lucia wants you to know about is your 95 energy. And this is the ability to be what I call the Mother Teresa number. You can just put out healing without having to bring it into your embodiment. And you're also, that 95 healer is really good and adept at working with group consciousness, ley lines, kind of bigger groups versus one-on-one. What Lucia is talking about with Athena is the owl wisdom. And so owl comes through as a proxy for Athena. And the invitation as you're looking to connect more deeply with Lucia is that 360 perspective. The same way that owls can kind of see all the way around, it's asking you to be more observant in a 360 way. When you're looking to connect with Lucia, you're very focused. It's kind of like what we talked about before with the linear, right?
Yeah.
And so you're very focused. So what she wants you to do is start by creating more of a feedback, right? Which is going to be more of like the infinity. So Lucia, what are you feeling? What am I feeling? Okay, let me send this energy to you. Send it back to me, but translate it in your energy. So play with her in that way so that then you get to the 360, the multidimensional. You're just seeing, sensing, knowing, hearing, and seeing signs around you from her. So don't be so focused on her. Look around you to see the signs that she's bringing in for you. Because for you, your intuition is less telepathic. It's more about sensations, more about absorbing. So absorb your environment to understand what she's showing you. Don't be so zoomed in on her.
Okay. Oh, that's so great. That's so helpful. Thank you so much.
I love
Hmm.
You.
it. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, John.
You're so welcome. All right, Denise, we have a question from Tina. Uh, Tina wrote in, I am in Tennessee, finally meeting my 7-month-old grandson. Congratulations, Tina. I had to leave my cat Zoe with someone, and I'm concerned about Zoe with me not being there. After talking to the person taking care of her, I don't think he's feeding her enough. I've been sending her love, and energy healing. Is there anything else I can do until I get back to help her from a distance? I think she may be having kidney issues. I'm feeling bad, but I couldn't bring her because I needed time with my daughter and grandson. Um,
Okay.
any help would be wonderful.
I love that. And Zoe is Zoey or no Y?
Why?
Y. Okay, let me put
Mhm.
that into the factor here. Oh boy, these are hard numerology numbers. Okay. Addition's not my forte. So 11 plus 8, 19, 26. Okay, got it. Okay, I love this. So this is
Mhm.
kind of what I was suspecting with Sweet Zoe, and the numbers kind of validate this. So this is why I love numerology, even if I need a few extra minutes to do math.
Mhm.
Zoe's role here is her energy vibrates at an 8. And when I see an animal companion with that energy 8, first of all, they're beautiful. They tend to be just gorgeous, beautiful
Mhm.
little beings, physically, I mean, like superficially. But 8 is also the number of benevolent leadership. So what she's having you to do is step into your benevolent leadership, to find that voice, to find that place inside of you that you can speak up. If you think that there's an issue with the feeding, the quantity, the time, speak up, right? So our animal companions invite us to speak up on their behalf. That's one of the reasons they don't really have a voice. They look to us to kind of verbalize their needs, to set boundaries around them, to create those. So what Zoe's helping you do in this, in this in between time, is to help you speak up. And this is going to be a really interesting opportunity to do so because there's something very different of speaking up with someone over the phone versus in person. Because you, Tina, are incredibly intuitive and sensitive. And
Mhm.
so part of the way that you interact with others in life is by constantly looking for the energetic feedback. So you're really good at reading the room, right? If you're approaching someone, oh, you know what, they're accepting this, I can keep going, or you know what, they seem uncomfortable, I'm going to pull back, or maybe I'll back off from what I was asking because they don't seem like they're going to be open to it. Over the phone, we lose some of that ability. So what Zoe is inviting you to do, Tina, is to speak up without having that benefit of reading the room. What this does is we bring in that Diana energy of the boundary of
Mhm.
I speak unapologetically. This is what I'm observing. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I need you to do. And of course, we can be kind and nice about it. But having that resolute energy is a really important step for you as you step into this Titan like energy.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Denise. That's fantastic.
And by
Uh,
the way, just one thing to set her mind at ease. Food, that's not the issue. She's not suffering. She's not, or at least she's not showing me. I'm not a medical intuitive, but she's not showing me that she's sad or suffering or scared. But that still doesn't preclude what the task at hand is. So
mm,
just, she wants you to rest assured she's okay. She'll be fine, even if she is eating a little less than usual. Hey, it's summer, it's hot. We all can fast a little bit. But the task at hand is what she outlined about speaking up even without being able to read the room and cater your requests to how people are receiving it.
what does that have to do with the potential of the kidney issues?
So kidneys have to do with processing energy, right? And so if
Mm,
we are constantly reading the room, managing energy, trying to manage everyone's expectations, we're taking all that in. We have to filter all that through our bodies. Right?
mhm,
That puts a lot of strain on our own kidneys, even physically, not to mention our energy. We get tired, depleted, all of that stuff. So anything to do with that second chakra, the kidneys, has a lot to do with how much we overgive, we overperceive, how much we're in that martyr energy, or self-sacrifice
mhm.
senselessly versus standing up with our boundaries, right? Because we want to create boundaries, not barriers.
Right. Amazing. All right, Tina, blessings again with your grandson and your daughter. So exciting. All right, Deborah, welcome to the call.
Thank you, John.
Of
Hello,
course.
Denise. It's been a long time since I've been on one of your calls. It's good to see you, and it's been fascinating to listen. World mythologies are a big part of my astrology work, and
Mm.
and archetypes in particular. But Katie and I are deep into the very big next chapter of our mission and soul purpose, and she is, of course, my willing and stalwart companion through this whole. And I was wanting to know um, what how does she think we're doing? Um, we've been going through a lot, and that means that, she gets to go I mean, we're together, but I also worry about how much she holds for me.
Mm.
Oh, sweet Deborah, so good to see you and so good to tap into your energy and Katie's energy. And so Katie reminds you that she's a rock, right?
I know.
Absolute rock. And Katie also is that healer energy of 95, right? She's not the
Mhm.
empathic of 59. She's the healer of 95. So anything that she's processing on your behalf does not go through her little body, she says. She's able to transmute it and just put out higher vibrations. So bring it. She's your rock. She's here to make sure that you are well, happy, and inspired and getting out and about. So she's here supporting you. There's nothing she can't take on for you, and because there's nothing you would not take on for her, right? You both hold that Titan archetypical energy of that wild divine feminine. You are Diana and Athena embodied all in one.
Mm.
And so Katie is your equal. So don't
Oh
worry about
boy, that is, she's 4 now, and so she's really strong into her maturation and her confidence. It's just blowing me away. How much guidance, and just like you say, how very earthy and rock like she is, because sometimes the world seems just too zany for me, especially as it's taken on a galactic dimension. But we're temporarily back in Sedona, but we found our sweet spot in the Pacific Northwest. So we'll be returning to the water in the fall, and we're both tremendously excited. So
Yeah,
thank you.
so good seeing you and enjoy those red rocks and absorb it
Yes.
to bring you
Mhm.
back
Well,
to
it was a call back. I didn't plan to be here in the summer, but I needed the earth.
yeah.
There you go. Way to listen. Way to listen.
Thank
Blessings
you
to you.
both very much.
Thank you, Deborah. So wonderful. Y'all are amazing. My God, we have the best audience ever. Um, let's continue here. Let's see. We have a lot of people that are writing in about their pets passing. Let me read one from Deb that came in, but it's quite the theme, and I know you mentioned it earlier, but maybe we'll give a little bit of context also in this next question. So, Deb writes, my beloved pup Ed recently returned to the stars, and so much of what you're sharing, Denise, is making sense. The multifaceted energy coming in and our beloved animals helping us to ground what we know, sense, and feel. My pup definitely upgraded once he returned to spirit and has been holding that space for me. However, I'm struggling with the grief, and I would love it, Denise, if you could help me connect with Ed and see if there's anything that he would want me to know as we transition to this change.
Love that. And so just so I can make sure I got it. So Deb is like short for Deborah, DEB. Is that right?
DEB, that's correct.
And Ed is just ED.
ED.
Okay, I love that. So let me just tap into that. Okay, so Deb, your energy is the overall vibration of your name is 11/2. So you are intuition connected all the time. Everything that you resonated with Ed, his energy is 9. So it's that old soul compassionate, also about kind of endings and new beginnings, and kind of utilizing all the tools at our disposal and stepping into our purpose work. So part of the reason why this resonated, what we've been talking about and tapping into with this discussion is you knew it, right? You're always ahead of the curve, is what Ed says. And because of that, a lot of our animal companions have been kind of frog leaping us. They're like, okay, this is complete, this lesson's complete, this understanding is complete. Let me disperse energetically and then come back in new form. The same way we talked a lot about that kind of prismatic nature of, seeing something reflected in water. We never see it in a very dense shape. We see it kind of expanded. That's how Ed shows himself. And that's how he shows the energy that he's holding for you. So this is going to be the same with grief. Put that grief into the water. Work with the sea nymphs. Let them show you what the grief looks like. Let them swim along with you. Ask them, what's the chant, what's the mantra, not with the purpose of moving through it or, kind of eradicating it, but rather dissipating it. The same way we talked about a little earlier with, I think it was Kara, where they were talking about Kronos and taking timelines and emotions and griefs, and kind of when we braid it in with other experiences, understandings, when we add more dimension to it, it becomes less overwhelming. It becomes less singular. So work with the sea nymphs, and then Kronos is going to help you kind of braid that into the overall experience. But Ed is there. He's holding that more dissipated energy because that's what you're kind of stepping into, those multidimensional chakras that are serving as more crystalline hubs, less dense, less pointed, more glowy. So just know it's part of the process. Use the sea nymphs to go in and let it dissipate into the currents. Be with it, be with those emotions, and then emerge. And you might have to go back into the water multiple times. It might be something that you do every time you take a shower, you set that intention, but just let it flow. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing we have to hold on to it for. It's very much kind of a non sequitur. It's an experience. It gets added into the thread. And I don't mean that to sound insensitive, because I know, even thinking about, the animals in my life transitioning, I'm just a mess. I know it's big for us right now, but this is the Titan energy showing us what's possible when we just kind of allow it all to be.
Well, and this takes me into the example of the thread that you shared earlier. With our pets, even with our parents' generation, it was very one directional. Our pets would give us something and we'd feed them, but we'd get something in return. So it was one directional. Then we'd get into a feedback loop. We'd get into the figure eight, the infinity of we give and we receive, we give and we receive. But now we're really bringing in that net, and they're plucking at the strings in different ways, and we're attuning and becoming more available to multi-dimensional intelligence and a vibrational emotional connection that supersedes those two-dimensional type of communication. And it's demonstrating itself so profoundly through our emotional body, through grief, through joy, and again, a multi-dimensional experience that we're ready to have deeper experience with. It's amazing.
I love that you say that, because it's so true, right? And our pets have always been at the forefront of coaching us. So when they dissipate their energy, but we still learn to kind of rise to the occasion and sense that energy, now we can connect with other dissipated energy that feels less dense. Galactic energy, Titan energy, guides, our higher selves. We become part of that dissipated fabric. So our pets transitioning and becoming less dense is helping us tap into that less dense energy. They're training us in that way. So I love that you talk about that. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. And blessings, and again, just so much compassion, of course. And how beautiful to be receiving the gift of the invitation of what's available to you through that deep love that is undeniable. So, y'all, to get a reading with Denise, again, the special offer with the Titans and the live courses, and you'll be dropped into group readings as well. That's in the first package. That's $97. To get a 30-minute reading on top of that, one-on-one with Denise, it's only $147. And then to get the pet training, package C, to go even deeper for $249, $247. Again, the special offer is there for you. And again, I encourage you to go deeper with Denise, and obviously with the readings that are coming through. And we're going to get into more, but I wanted to mention it again as we're getting into readings, that it's available there. So again, the link's in the chat box. It's underneath the video where you're watching the live call or the replay from, and it's in the comments section on YouTube if you're watching from there. All right, let's continue here. A couple of other people. So let me go ahead and mention, oh, let me find it. So is it Miley, I believe. I may be pronouncing it wrong, and I apologize. My therapy dog, Pierre, passed away on November 26, 2023. It's been really hard, and I even left a job of 24 years to go full-time self-employed. Is there any message that you may have for me? Miley is spelled Maile, and Pierre, Pierre.
Beautiful. So let me pull in, thank you for that spelling. Pierre, what a sweet name. I love the name of pets that are human. Ooh. Wow. Okay. So Pierre is all healing all the time. He's got two 95s within his name, flanked by 99, and it starts with a 7. So Pierre was really your philosopher king, your healer. Perfect that he's a therapy dog, but also helped you understand yourself and your purpose work. And one of the big things that Pierre did in terms of healing for you was helping you to see yourself in a more gentle light. And that's something that I don't use this word literally, but he's worried that you're not being as gentle and kind as you in how you see yourself as he'd like you to be. So one of his messages is that be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, see yourself through my eyes. That November date is really important. November is that 11, 26 is the 8, and you said it's 2023, so that's 5, 6, 7. So that is 15 over 6 with the 8 plus the 7. So 6 is about caregiving. It's about vision. It's about how we're seeing our world around us. And that 11 is all about that intuition. So what Pierre's asking you to do is to see yourself for who you truly are. Right now, you are being harsh on yourself. You're giving yourself a hard time. You're beating yourself up a lot, and he's not down with that. So what he says he's going to do to help continue the therapy work and healing work, even on the other side, is going to be dropping you reflections. So every mirror you look into the mirror, but then look at what else is in the mirror. There's going to be more that falls into that mirror, especially if you're outdoors and you're walking by even like a storefront that's glass. Look at yourself, but then look beyond yourself. Look at the reflection behind you, what's coming into that mirror. Those are going to be signs for him. This is going to be a fun game. It's going to distract you. It's going to give your mind something to do, because when your mind is left to its own devices, it kind of beats up on itself the same way so many of us do. So he just wanted to kind of point that out and say, let's play this game. I'm going to show you through my eyes the beautiful energy and being that you are. And he's still with you, ever present, always will be, ever will be. That's what he says.
That's beautiful, Denise. Y'all, I wanted to get into more Q&A, but we're already at the top of the call. I can't believe this. I encourage y'all to get the special offer of Denise if we couldn't get to your question. I'm so sorry. Even with the first package, with the recordings and what's coming through, to have group readings on there, you can hop on there or take the 30 minutes. There's so much that can be covered there. And again, the pet training, to go into the puppy training and what's available, and the essence of learning how to communicate even more from the heart-to-heart basis, with confidence and courage, and with authority of the gods, of the Titans. How beautiful is that, right? So y'all take advantage of that special offer. And then he says, we're wrapping up. What are your pets teaching you? What are the familiars that you're working with, expanding you into?
So a lot of what they're teaching me is to be brave, which is an interesting thing
Mm,
to say. I always see trends in the animal companions that I'm working with, and a lot of it has to do with being little in a big world, right? And
mm,
not fully understanding everything in the world. So a lot of desensitization that I'm doing for our animal companions, and especially one comes to mind, a 5 pound little dog, and man, is she really learning to take in the world. And I'm going to take her on a like full day adventure tomorrow where we just go, we explore life together. We see how she does everywhere from at the beach to the boardwalk to kind of quieter spaces in my apartment. And she's going to have to be brave for that, right? She's going to have to
mm,
be open. She's going to have to trust me. And it's so interesting because we always think of our pets as like, oh, we've got their backs, they've got ours, right? So as she kind of steps into that big world, I understand, and we touched upon this call, our world is expanding, our world is changing, our world is getting bigger, more multidimensional, with more experiences. So that moment to be brave. And sometimes, to Pierre's point, the bravest thing we can do is give ourselves a break. If
mm.
we're tired, take a rest, don't push it. So that notion of courage and being brave is really coming up through our animal companions and just examining what that means in context of a bigger, ever-changing reality available to us.
Well, and that takes me into Diana and Apollo, the boundaries, stepping forward, new terrain, the hunting. It's just, it's all bigger. It's all expand your energy, expand. You've got everything you need. Your instincts in there. You can hear your intuition's awake. You've got guides along the way. There's so much. There's so much here. And I love and so appreciate how you just embody what's being shared with you. And again, your capacity to then synthesize so that we can benefit from your awareness and your embodiment. It's such a gift to all of us. So thank you. It's been a wonderful show as always. I so appreciate you.
And as a soul pack, I'm just so grateful that everybody shared their experience, their pets. And I'm actually really excited for this course to kind of kick off because through the journeys, we'll go in and check in with everyone during the live share and do mini readings. We learn so much from each other. So
Mhm.
I know that through you guys joining that course, I'm going to learn so much from you about what this Titan
Mhm.
energy is. We get to go deeper together. So I want to say thank you for sharing today. And thank you for those who will be joining us. And we'll come back and we'll report to the group what we've learned for our next time around. But thank you, John, as always, for being brave in creating this group. The
Mhm.
fact that you are so good with boundaries and your intuition means that you've brought amazing people together. So thank you for creating
Sure.
this platform.
My honor. My honor. Yeah, it's wonderful to be here with you. And it's wonderful to be here with you all. Thank you. Those of you who are alive, those of you with your hands raised, those of you watching on the replay, watching on YouTube. We're all growing and expanding together and we get to learn from one another. So thank you to your dedication, your bravery, your innocence, your being here at this time. And again, I bow down to each and every one of you and namaste. And with that, say good night, and I look forward to seeing you on the next call. Bye, everybody.